Long ago, in a village nestled between golden savannas and rolling hills, there stood a mighty baobab tree. Its trunk was as wide as a house, and its branches stretched towards the heavens like an old storyteller beckoning the stars. The villagers called it Elder Baobab because it had stood there for countless generations, its roots deep in the earth, and its wisdom whispered to the wind. Every child in the village grew up hearing tales of the baobab's magic. The elders spoke of how it could whisper secrets to those who listened with open hearts. Some villagers believed these stories. Others dismissed them as the ramblings of old minds. But one boy, Kofi, believed with all his heart. Kofi was not like other children. While his friends spent their days running through the fields or playing by the river, Kofi loved to sit under the shade of the baobab tree, listening to his grandmother's stories. Grandmother Alma, with her soft, wrinkled hands and voice like a gentle drumbeat, would tell Kofi tales of the baobab. This tree, she would say, holds the wisdom of the earth and the sky. If your heart is pure and your mind is open, it may whisper its secrets to you. Kofi's eyes would light up with wonder, and he would press his ear to the rough bark, hoping to hear its voice. One day, trouble came to the village. The rain stopped falling, the rivers dried up, and the crops began to wither. The sun beat down mercilessly, and even the animals wandered far away in search of water. The villagers grew desperate. They prayed to the spirits, held ceremonies, and searched the land for answers, but the skies remained cloudless, and their hope began to fade. Kofi watched as his people grew weary. The elders, who had always been so full of wisdom, now sat quietly, their faces etched with worry. The children no longer laughed, and the fields, once lush and green, turned to dust. Kofi's heart ached for his village. One evening, as the sun set and the shadows grew long, he decided to visit the baobab alone. He approached the tree, its massive trunk glowing faintly in the twilight. Pressing his small hands against its bark, he whispered, "Elder Baobab, please help my people. What should we do?" He sat beneath the tree, waiting. The wind rustled the leaves above him, but no answer came. The night grew darker, and Kofi began to feel foolish. Perhaps it was just a tree, after all. As he stood to leave, a soft voice stopped him. "Child of the soil," it whispered, so faintly that he almost thought he imagined it. Kofi froze, his heart pounding. "What is it, Elder Baobab?" he asked, his voice trembling. "In unity, there is strength," the baobab said. "The roots of a tree hold the earth together, and the branches reach higher when they grow as one." The whisper faded, leaving Kofi alone in the still night. The next morning, Kofi shared the baobab's words with the villagers. Some scoffed, saying it was just the imagination of a child. Others, however, were curious. "What do you think it means?" an elder asked. Kofi thought for a moment before replying. "Maybe it means we must work together. We are like the tree, stronger when united." The villagers began to act on Kofi's words. They gathered as a community, pooling their resources and sharing what little water they had left. The men dug deeper wells, searching for hidden springs. The women wove large nets to catch the dew that formed in the cool mornings. The children carried water from distant streams, working tirelessly alongside their elders. Days turned into weeks, and though the drought persisted, the village began to thrive in new ways. They shared their food, supported one another, and found innovative ways to survive. "We are like the baobab," Kofi's grandmother said one evening as they rested under its shade. "Our roots are our unity, and our branches are our hope." One night, as the villagers gathered around the baobab to share stories and songs, a soft breeze rustled its leaves. Kofi closed his eyes, listening. "You have learned well," the tree whispered, though only he could hear. He smiled, feeling a deep warmth in his heart. Months later, dark clouds gathered on the horizon. The villagers watched in awe as rain poured from the sky, drenching the parched earth. The rivers filled, the crops revived, and life returned to the land. The villagers danced in the rain, their laughter echoing across the hills. "We survived because we stood together," the village chief declared. Kofi and the Baobab showed us the way. From that day forward, the villagers treated the Baobab with great reverence. They planted more trees around it and shared its story with every new generation. Kofi grew older, becoming a storyteller himself. He would gather children under the Baobab and tell them the tale of how it saved the village. The tree whispered to me, he would say, but its message was not just for me. It was for all of us. The village flourished, becoming a symbol of unity and resilience. Travelers came from distant lands to hear the story of the Baobab and its whispers. The villagers welcomed them, sharing their wisdom and kindness. One day, as Kofi sat under the Baobab, now an old man with silver hair, he felt the trees whisper again. "Thank you, child of the soil," it said. "You have spread my roots far and wide." Kofi closed his eyes, a single tear slipping down his cheek. "No, Elder Baobab," he replied softly. "Thank you for teaching us." The Baobab stood tall, its branches reaching ever higher and its roots spreading deep into the earth. It became a living symbol of the strength found in unity and the wisdom of listening to the world around you. To this day, the Baobab whispers to those who pause and listen, its lessons as timeless as the stars above. And though the droughts came and went, the village always stood strong, united like the roots of the mighty Baobab.